Podcast number 9. That's a track from my buddy Kaztech. Remember the original? I've got the power. Anyhow, so I was reading an article recently about this dude named Ninja, who's the biggest electronic sports guy in the world. And I have to admit, only in the last 12 months I've heard the term esports or electronic sports or whatever. And I bet you the way I felt about electronic sports was about how a lot of people feel about cryptocurrency. They keep hearing it in the news. They have almost no idea what it is, and they have even less of an idea as to why people are interested in it or fascinated with it. And so it's funny how psychologically things get to a point where you're afraid to ask, or you're embarrassed to ask because time keeps going on and on and on, and you think, wow, now it's a little too late to ask what Bitcoin is or cryptocurrency is because I don't want to look like an idiot. So I kind of felt the same way about electronic sports. I had no idea why people or how people could make 6 or 7 figures sitting around playing video games. And even more importantly, why are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people paying money to watch other people play video games? I'm not against it. I'm not for it. I'm not hating on the people. I couldn't understand what people have going on in their life where they're going to pay money to sit at home and watch other people play video games. So, in all fairness, I wanted to do some digging on it and some research. And so I got caught up reading a couple interesting articles. One is about this dude named Ninja, who I'm going to talk about here in a minute. And then the other one was just the Wikipedia definition of what electronic sports are. So I'm going to get into that right now, actually. Give me 1 second. So sorry, 1 second. I'm trying to fix my screen here. All right, let me see if I can figure this out. I had it figured out a second ago. So anyhow, I'll get into it right now. I was just trying to read it from a different platform. Electronic sports are a form of competition using video games, obviously. Most commonly, esports take the form of organized multiplayer video game competitions, particularly between professional players. Although organized online and offline competitions have long been a part of video game cultures, these were largely between amateurs until the late 2000s, when participation by professional gamers and spectatorship in these events through live streaming saw a large surge in popularity. By the 2010s, esports was a significant factor in the video game industry, and many game developers now actively design toward a professional esport subculture. The most common video game genres associated with esports are real-time strategy, first-person shooter, fighting, and multiplayer online battle arena. Popular games for esports include League of Legends, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to name them all. Tournaments such as the League of Legends World Championship, the International something. This person writing this on Wikipedia is not super based in grammar here. The Evolution Championship Series for fighting games and the Intel Extreme Masters provide live broadcasts of the competition and prize money to competitors. Many competitors use a series of promotion and relegation play. Sorry, never heard of relegation play. with sponsored teams such as the first League of Legends World Championship, but more recently competitions structured similar to American professional sports with salaried players and regular season and playoff series have emerged, such as the Overwatch League. Man, I think they outsourced the grammar or proofreading to like India or something on this. The legitimacy of esports as a sports competition remains in question. However, esports have been featured alongside traditional sports in multinational events, and the International Olympic Committee is actively exploring how to incorporate esports into future Olympic Games. I heard that a couple months ago, that we will probably be seeing electronic sports in the Olympics. Who would have thought 10, 20, 30 years ago that that would ever be considered? I mean, good on these guys, but there's got to be a line drawn in the sand somewhere about Olympic sports. By 2019, it is estimated that 427 million people worldwide will be watching esports. The increasing availability of online streaming media platforms, particularly Panda TV, YouTube, and Twitch, have become central to the growth and promotion of esports competitions. Demographically, Major League Gaming has reported viewership that is approximately 85% male and 15% female, with a majority of viewers between the ages of 18 and 34. Why do I believe those statistics? I think women are out doing something else other than watching men play video games. But that could be wrong. Despite this, several female personalities within esports are hopeful about the increasing presence of female gamers. South Korea has several established esports organizations which have licensed pro gamers since the year 2000. Recognition of esports competitions outside South Korea has come somewhat slower. Along with South Korea, most competitions take place in Europe, North America, and China. Despite the large video game market, esports in Japan is relatively underdeveloped, which has been attributed largely to its broad anti-gambling laws which prohibit paid professional gaming tournaments. The global esports market generated $325 million of revenue in 2015 and was expected to make $493 million in 2016. The global esports audience in 2015 was 226 million people. According to a Newzoo report in April of 2017, 42% of the gaming market belongs to the mobile industry, and mobile is projected to claim more than 50% of the market by 2020. That's no surprise. Mobile's taken over everything. The esports industry is expanding beyond PC and console as developer Super Evil Megacorp, they sound holistic and honest, right? Created Vainglory, the first mobile multiplayer online battle arena game, and companies like Skills bring esports tournaments to mobile games. All right, so you have an idea from Wikipedia about esports. Let me get into this next screen here. So Ninja is this dude, and he dyes his hair different colors weekly. And I was reading about him here in ESPN, the magazine. Living the stream. How did Ninja become gaming's first crossover star? The Fortnite legend is relentless about one thing. He's always on. And in the article, that means he's always online. By the way, Ninja's the first electronic sports star to grace the cover of ESPN magazine. You know the dude is balling and that esports are going somewhere when the guy's on the cover of ESPN magazine. On a sweltering afternoon in Chicago with the bass from the closest stage at Lollapalooza booming in the background, a dozen kids cluster at a tent. to watch a pale, gangly young man with neon pink hair play a video game. It's Ninja. It's Ninja. He plays Fortnite. I wonder what kind of car he drives. It's either a Prius or a Ferrari, another one yells out. I play Fortnite every day, Mom. It's my dream to play Fortnite. Tyler Ninja Blevins, the object of their adoration, is tired. It's about 1:30. Later in the day than he usually starts streaming. I just want to chill, he says. Even when we're out and about at night, it's just so much, he says, before turning on the camera to broadcast himself to millions. Throughout the day, Ninja, 27 years old, talks about wanting to watch rapper Logic perform that night from a room with no mics and no cameras. For those that don't know, and I just learned, so I'm not talking from a position of knowledge here until, well, recent knowledge, but what he means by no mics and no cameras is that everywhere he goes, he's always mic'd up while playing video games, and people love to hear him talk and get to know him, and basically it's their form of attachment to this dude. He's always under video camera and he's always under microphone, and people get to hear what's on his mind, and they love it. Hot and exhausted as he is, he takes pictures with every single kid who shows up after each game, bending his stringy frame so that his face is level with theirs. Some kids are too shy to ask for a photo, staring at him in awe. When that happens, he leans over and says, "Hey, buddy, I'd like to take my picture with you. Is that cool?" By the way, that's very nice of him, in my opinion. And a lot of celebrities, a lot of athletes, a lot of movie stars, unfortunately, don't do that. I think that's very nice of the dude. Benny, the Chicago Bulls mascot, drops into play and gifts him a jersey. Lollapalooza founder and Jane's Addiction frontman Perry Farrell stops by too. His 13-year-old son in tow, obviously. Ninja doesn't go to the bathroom all afternoon. He eats very little. Every so often he turns to smile at his wife Jess, sitting patiently behind him. And at one point, Mouse, "I love you." Jess, whom at least one kid calls Mrs. Ninja, brings him fries, makes sure he has enough water, and acts as a first line of defense against the adoring crowds. No, Ninja will not play squads with them. Yes, he will sign that $2 bill, but only after he finishes the game. 5 hours later, Ninja turns off the stream and collapses in his chair, his tongue lolling out of his mouth. His respite is brief. More kids have appeared. For Tyler Blevins, it is the summer of more. More people, more events, more fame. It's June, and he is in Los Angeles for the biggest tournament of his life, the Fortnite Celebrity Pro-Am, where 50 gamers will be paired with 50 celebrities to duke it out for $3 million in charity prize money. He'll team up with music producer Marshmello against NBA stars Paul George and Andre Drummond and actor Joel McHale. In his room at the Beverly Hills Four Seasons, already dressed in jeans and a purple jersey featuring his logo of a masked warrior, he lets his signature shock of dyed hair, today it's blue, dry before styling it. All the while, he's trying not to be irritated at the things first-class accommodations cannot accommodate. "I lost 15,000 subscribers yesterday," he says. Even though he's headlining today's celebrity event, because he's not live streaming on Twitch, he's losing subscribers. 40,000 of them, to be exact. By the end of 2 days, he'll spend in LA. And that means he could lose money in the hundreds of thousands. If you haven't heard of Ninja, ask the nearest 12-year-old. He shot to fame in March after he and Drake played Fortnite, the video game phenomenon in which 100 players are dropped onto an island and battle to the last one standing while building forts that are used to both attack and hide from opponents. At its peak, Ninja and Drake's game, which also featured rapper Travis Scott and Pittsburgh Steelers receiver Juju Smith-Schuster, pulled in 630,000 concurrent viewers on Twitch, Amazon's live streaming platform, shattering the previous record of 388,000. Since then, Ninja has achieved what no other gamer has before, mainstream fame. With 11 million Twitch followers and climbing, he commands an audience few can dream of. In April, he logged the most social media interactions in the entire sports world, beating out the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, Shaquille O'Neal, and Neymar. Dude, that's crazy. Ronaldo and Neymar. Shaq, I could see him surpassing. Just playing Dig Dug even. Shit. Every day, people tune in by the thousands. Excuse me, hundreds of thousands to watch him play. And he's making bank doing it. The most commonly reported figure is $500K a month. Blevins suggests the number is closer to 7 figures a month. Twitch now, which boasts 2.2 million streamers around the world, gives its content creators 3 ways of generating revenue. Like traditional TV, there are ads, and streamers make money based on how many people watch those ads. Like Netflix, there are also subscriptions, though you don't have to subscribe to watch. And finally, like street busking, there are donations. What is street busking? Asking for money out on the corner? I guess. The largest donation Blevins can remember receiving is $40,000. Off subscriptions alone, Blevins makes an estimated $300,000 a month. That's not factoring in his sponsorships with Samsung, Red Bull, and Uber Eats, or the revenue from YouTube, Instagram, and other social media sites. This kid is balling. I love it. Good for him. Blevins compares himself to the owner of a small business, and the only product is himself, Ninja. He weighs every decision to leave his computer, to travel to a celebrity-heavy event like the Pro-Am in Los Angeles, or even to visit his family, against the financial repercussions. When we decide whether I'm going to an event, he says, the pay has to be there, he says. If it's not paid, how much clout are you going to get? Are you going to be networking? Is that networking worth $70,000? At the same time, there's the constant threat of a fading popularity. The more breaks streamers take, he says, the less they stream and the less relevant they become. I wonder if this dude is just going to be stuck in front of a camera and a microphone for the rest of his life. How crazy would that be? Could you imagine some guy or gal with $100 million in their checking account, but they're all cracked out on Red Bull inside of a bedroom, about to have a heart attack at age like 19 because they haven't slept in weeks or months, and they're afraid to turn off their stream because it might all go away. That would be crazy. All right, once inside LAFC's sparkling downtown stadium, where the 100 competitors sit in neat rows dwarfed by a giant screen, things initially don't go Ninja's way. He dies early in the warm-up round to the disbelief of the sold-out crowd of teens, 20-somethings, and parents. When competitive play begins, their faith is restored. Ninja eliminates fellow streamer Jack Courage Dunlop to win the tournament. Ninja jumps out of his chair and swings his outstretched arms back and forth in the goofy pon-pon dance he almost does daily on his stream. It's like his version of the dab. He bounces towards Marshmallow with a huge grin on his face and engulfs him in a huge hug before the two pose for photos with their golden pickaxe trophies. Ninja swings his at the ground like he's digging for gold. Here's a picture of his old lady and his dog, by the way, for those watching on YouTube or live on Facebook. Despite his success as one of the top Fortnite players in the world, he was second in all-time wins as of September 12th. Ninja is constantly worried that he's peaked. Sorry, I'm drinking coffee. The stress gnaws at him. When I'm not streaming, I have time to reflect on all the growth, and I don't like that. I'd rather just be home playing, he says. I'm like, I haven't played a celebrity in a while. I haven't done something big in a while. Is it because I'm slowing down? When I'm home, there's no time to think about that. Home is a gated community about an hour outside Chicago. The Blevinses moved to the area in May to escape. Sorry, I'm going to turn up my volume a little bit right now. The Blevinses moved to the area in May to escape the people showing up daily at their previous house in the suburban Chicago seeking selfies. Now in a neighborhood where several Bears players live, they still get home. They still get some unsolicited visitors, kids who leave letters in the mailbox, and fans who just come to ogle. When I pull up to the security booth, I ask the 30-something guard if he knows who Tyler Blevins is. He points at his laptop. He's watching Ninja's stream live at that moment. What are the odds? Jess greets today's guests, TV producers, photographers, and me, among others, at the door of their $1 million home with a couple's Yorkshire Terriers, Chance and Navi. Yes, like in Avatar. As she shows us around, we hear a primal victory scream from downstairs, and a few of us glance around in confusion. Jess hardly blinks. Tyler can't join us until he wraps up his 6-hour stream. In the basement, past a well-stocked bar, a pool table, and a dartboard next to the foosball table, he sits on this sunny August day in a t-shirt and plaid pajama pants at the most famous space in their house, his gaming setup. It doesn't look like much, a couple of screens, a fridge full of Red Bull, a mess of wires, but from this modest corner, he makes millions by captivating fans. Unlike tournaments, where gamers vie for wins and prize pools, streaming is as much about entertainment as it is about victory. Streamers like Ninja transform their lives into content, broadcasting their thoughts and doing things in real time. Watch a streamer long enough and he feels like your friend. During one recent stream, Ninja coos at one of his dogs in a high-pitched baby voice in between games. I'm not going to imitate this voice he does, by the way. But he says, "Oh, hi, my little ladybug. I love that you can come see me anytime because we don't have doors in the basement." But I think he was in a more high-pitched voice than that, I'm guessing. In a clip from early September, which garnered 5.2 million Instagram views in 2 days, Ninja launches himself off a ramp to take on a squad of 3. Equipped with a single-shot hunting rifle, he knocks down one person at close range from midair without aiming down the sights. A highly unlikely move. He screams in delight before getting a routine second kill, then decides to try the crazy move again, flying through the air, sniping the last guy in the same fashion with the same weapon. That's like making back-to-back full-court baskets, according to this ESPN writer. In less than 20 seconds, he takes out an entire squad on his own, all while maneuvering his character and building ramps and cover. He can't believe it either and jumps up from his chair screaming. He thinks of things other people don't, says Jacob Hysteria Ricer, a Fortnite streamer who was teammates with Ninja when the two played competitive Halo. He always goes for the flashy plays, and he pulls them off more than anyone. Earlier this year, when his fame was still fresh, Blevins was excited to talk to me about his new experiences. The coolest perk of being rich and famous was being able to fly first class everywhere, he said. And then the first time he and Jess were mobbed by fans was at the movies a week after the Drake stream. A few months later, he tells me that he and Jess can hardly go out. Going to the mall, out to eat, to the movies, those were a few of our favorite things to do, says Jess, now 26. Now if we go out, it's just a non-stop picture fest. We don't have that much time together, so we're not out very much. About 2 hours after our arrival at his home, Tyler emerges from the basement in his pajamas. He snuggles Chance and looks at Jess, who is also his manager, for his marching orders. She tells him to change and get his hair done for the photo shoot, and that tomorrow he needs to clean the basement, which is littered with the detritus of having his old Halo pals over to game. We're interrupting Jess and Tyler's daily routine. They typically spend half an hour together in the morning. Then he streams, usually for about 6 hours, while she takes business calls. They take a break around 4 p.m. before he gets back on the stream around 8 p.m. for another 6 hours. He goes offline 1 day a week, which they call a date day, though recently they've been skipping it because he's been so busy. Sorry, drinking another sip of coffee. Tyler and Jess first met at a Halo tournament in December 2010. She didn't know much about gaming, but she did wonder whether she would ask him for a selfie in case he became famous one day. Years later, she messaged him through Twitter, but thought he'd never reply because he had a whopping 1,000 followers. I thought that was so many at the time, she says, laughing. He now has 3.29 million Twitter followers, by the way. The couple got married last August and went on a 6-day honeymoon in the Caribbean. Ninja left a message for his viewers explaining that he'd gone and queued up videos so they'd have fresh content during his absence. It was his only vacation in 8 years. In college, Jess started streaming to better understand why Tyler would go hours without replying to her texts. A day in, she realized how consuming it was. It's physically exhausting, but also mentally exhausting because you're sitting there constantly interacting, Tyler says. I'm engaging a lot more senses than if I were just gaming by myself. We're not sitting there doing nothing. I don't think anyone gets that. I know I didn't personally understand this until I read this article. You know, you see these gamers with headsets on, and they have the little microphone wand that going down in front of their mouth. But you think they're just cussing out one of their friends or whatever, talking shit, you know. When you have to be on for 6 or 8 hours like that, talking while playing, while being entertaining, while also not saying something that will upset a social justice warrior who's trolling your page, that could be just, it's probably more mentally exhausting than anything. And then who knows when his heart's going to give out drinking a case of Red Bull a day. Good thing they're one of his sponsors. I wonder if they're going to pay his hospital bills when his heart just stops working in about, I'm not going to say it, that'd be rude. But drinking 12 Red Bull a day is going to catch up with you at some point. As I sip on coffee, at least it's black coffee. He doesn't prepare jokes or lines to use in his streams, this writer says, but he has absorbed so much from movies and TV and song lyrics that they float off his tongue. Rick and Morty and SpongeBob are favorite sources for material, but his improvisational, why can't I say that? I went to college. But his improvisational style has led him astray. In March, he dropped the N-word while rapping on a stream. He apologized the next day and later announced he would stop swearing. Ninja also has a knack for impersonating the more well-known gamers he teams up with on a stream. As a kid, he'd leave a movie theater reciting lines word for word in the actors' voices. He was so good at it, his parents tried to put him in theater. After telling me his favorite film is Interstellar, he drops a killer Matthew McConaughey impression. The couple are aware of the pitfalls of working together, and Jess often has to make clear whether she's talking to Tyler as his wife or as his manager. When she herself is conflicted, they seek advice from his support team, which includes an agent, managers from Red Bull, and Jess's mother. When asked Jess for an example of a time they needed counsel, she says, any of the controversial stuff. The most contentious statement he's made to date came in August while he told a Polygon reporter, I don't play with female gamers. His reasoning? Teaming up with women on stream might spark internet speculation, and he wants to protect his marriage. To some, his instinct was rather romantic, even noble. Could you imagine if the guy was an actor, though? Like, if you're doing a sex scene with Megan Fox, that's not going to get you in more trouble than teaming up with some chick to play Fortnite or Asteroids or whatever. Whatever game they're playing, sorry. To some, his instinct was rather romantic, even noble. The internet is often a toxic place where anonymity frees people to unleash their worst selves. You hear Joe Rogan talk about this every day, actually. When Tyler was still living with his parents, they once had their household surrounded by police, gun drawn, due to a swatting call. But that toxicity is especially fierce against women, and esports is notoriously male-dominated. There is only one woman, South Korean Overwatch pro Guguri, playing on the biggest stages. Support from a man with Ninja's influence, especially among children, would go a long way toward overcoming barriers. When asked about the controversy now, Tyler talks even faster than he usually does and gets a little heated. He says he misspoke in that interview, but reiterated, his position. This is my spouse. This is the person I vowed to spend the rest of my life with. He says the fact that anyone feels that they can judge how I'm protecting my relationship and to try and make it political, really, he says. He says repeatedly he doesn't have a problem with women, only with trolls. And the one-on-one stream, especially, where two people game and talk for hours at a time, is very intimate in a way. And he would rather avoid doing that with a woman who isn't his wife. He does have plans to collaborate with popular women Instagrammers and says women gamers are always welcome to play with him in a group at events. That way he can control the narrative more with stupid drama and rumors flooding into our lives, he says. For her part, Jess says that Tyler can stream with whomever he wants and that she has no part in that decision. But she adds that rumors start about her all the time. My Instagram is flooded with ridiculous comments. I post a picture with our best friend or our brother-in-law, and it's like, she cheated on you. I couldn't even imagine what it'd be like to have millions of Instagrammers commenting on every one of your posts. One day, right? Whenever he has a free moment in the day, Tyler lies down on the couch next to Jess and the dogs. They complete each other's stories when they're together, and when they're apart, they tell a lot of the same ones. Tyler says the only time he doesn't feel like streaming is when Jess isn't home. I don't know what I'm streaming for, he says. I just want to lie there and do nothing and wait for her to come back. Their house is close to where Tyler grew up and not far from his two older brothers, Jonathan and Chris. The Blevins family moved to Illinois from Detroit when Tyler, whom the family calls Ty, was just a year old. Growing up, their dad, Chuck, was the gamer, playing on the Sega after his sons went to bed. The boys played too, though their mom, Cynthia, established some strict rules. They had to keep their grades up, get a job once they were old enough, and, as Tyler remembers, they had to spend an hour outside for every hour they gamed. That's a really cool policy. On paper, it seems brilliant. In reality, I wonder how hard it is for a parent to get their kid to do that, and who's timing them, and who's keeping track of this. Anyhow, could you imagine if families like mandated that everyone put their phone down during dinner? Kids would lose their minds. But I know that more and more families are trying to unplug, so we'll see how that evolves. That'd be an interesting topic for a podcast, actually. Our obsessions with our mobile phone all day long, especially during meals. Anyhow, Tyler, who played soccer through his high school, was the best at every video game he tried, to the point where Jonathan would punch him in the arm to try and stop him. He would drop his controller, then he'd still win, his brother remembers. Tyler started calling himself Ninja after an old Halo move. He persuaded his parents to let him go to the first gaming tournament in Columbus, Ohio when he was 17 on the condition that his dad go with him. He and a rotating cast of teammates played and lived out of his parents' basement to the point where Chuck and Cynthia started asking some of the guys to leave. He went pro in Halo and started streaming in his sophomore year of college in 2011 after a year at Silver Lake College, a Catholic liberal arts school in Wisconsin. When he started making what he calls a comfortable living off of streaming, he quit his job at Noodles and Company and dropped out of the community college he'd transferred to. When I asked what it took for him to feel comfortable, he estimates $80,000 to $90,000 a year. Blevins says he didn't know what streaming would become when he first started doing it, but he always had a knack for the next big thing. He got into both streaming and esports when Twitch was called Justin.tv and tournaments were makeshift, low-budget events. He has ability to see what he wants and not see the distractions, Cynthia says. There's something inside of him which allows him to see success beyond what the normal person might see because he wants it. That same savvy and willingness to take risks led him to see Fortnite's potential before anyone else. While all the big streamers were still playing PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, Tyler noticed that the fans in his Twitch chat were talking about a new Battle Royale version of Fortnite that launched in September 2017. Sensing an opportunity, he switched to Fortnite last fall. He didn't realize the magnitude of what he'd done. He says, I don't think anyone thought it was possible to get this big through live streaming. Here's another picture of him. Nice smile on that kid. Different color hair every week. That's awesome. Back at Ninja's house, we've moved to what he likes to call the Four Seasons room, a beautiful space fit for an afternoon tea party, with patio furniture and expansive windows looking out onto leafy trees and a manicured green. Just questions, right? Blevins asked me, as long as there's no video so I can just chill. He slumps on the couch, wrapping his long arms around himself. He closes his eyes to take in the glow of the sun, looking so peaceful that I hesitate to break the silence. He's always on the lookout for the next big thing. He is so closely tied to Fortnite, it's hard to imagine his popularity surviving the jump. But he says he won't let that stop him. He's been so good for so long that he's confident he can master whatever comes next. I can 100% compete at the top level in every game that I play, he says. There will always be another game, if not better, then simply newer. In fact, Ninja started live streaming at the beta version of Call of Duty's new Battle Royale, Blackout, on Friday to a peak of 271,000 viewers, and announced on Saturday that he will be headlining a tournament for the new game at Twitch's annual streaming convention in late October. How does he stay so good? Pro tip: don't just play, practice. Ninja competes in about 50 games a day, and he analyzes each and every one. He never gets tired of it, and every loss hits him hard. Hyper competitive, he makes sure he walks away with at least one win each day. He averages about 15 and once got 29 in a single day. When I die, I get so upset, he says. You can play every single day, you're not practicing. You die, and oh well, you go on to the next game. When you're practicing, you're taking every single match seriously, so you don't have an excuse when you die. You're like, I should have rotated here, I should have pushed there, I should have backed off, and a lot of people don't do that. Still, audiences are fickle, so Ninja won't give them an excuse to stop watching. Despite his new wealth and fame and the demands of his time from sponsors, events, and other deals, including an official Team Ninja merchandise store launching in mid-September, he does his best to feed the beast. So many people get content. So many people stop when they're at the top. He says, so many people get content. I was thinking of content as like video and audio content for the internet. So many people stop when they're at the top, he says, his voice growing fierce again. They'll let someone take their place because they're relaxing. That's not going to happen to me. But what would he do if he could take a week off? No lost subscribers, no repercussions. What wouldn't we do, he says with a sigh. The first day, we'd do nothing, just eat a bunch of junk food, watch TV, go to a movie, and eat a bunch of popcorn and candy. The second day, we'd travel somewhere, anywhere. I heard Jamaica's wonderful. We would just sit there and drink pina coladas on the beach. Will he ever be able to do it, I ask? Surely none of this is worth it if he can't enjoy it. I'd be an idiot to do that now, he says flatly. Jess says Tyler doesn't like talking about 5-year plans or whatever the future holds. But when pushed to say how long he'll keep going, he answers, until my family's taken care of. Say this ends tomorrow. We don't have enough for the rest of our lives. I tell Jess, honey, we're not going to have that much quality time this year or even next year. But if we do this right and I continue to grind for a couple more years, we can set ourselves up and our family and our family's family for the rest of our lives. That's a great way to think about it for a 20-something. I'm proud of the dude. On the third night of Lollapalooza, after days of streaming and being mobbed by fans, Ninja decides to go undercover at night. By the way, I'm almost done with this article, so hang in there. He dons Jess's large Louis Vuitton sunglasses, flattens his pink hair under a bull's hat, and walks through the crowds around Michigan Avenue undetected. Just another face in the festive streets. It's working, he says gleefully. They walk into the hotel, and there it is. The first cry of recognition. Ninja! Jess and his crew beg for quiet. They're just trying to go to bed, but it doesn't work. The crowd, young, drunk, and sunburned, takes notice. 100 phones lift in the air and the cries of Ninja, Ninja, Ninja reverberating through the marble lobby. I left Ninja hours earlier. He wanted some privacy to enjoy Logic's show, but I didn't need to be there to witness this scene. I saw what happened alongside the rest of the world that night in a video he posted on social media with the caption, trying to sneak out of Lollapalooza Day 3, mission failed. Even as he's taking time off, he keeps the camera on. Content is everything. See? Content and content. got screwed up. All right, so that's the end of the article. But I thought it was fascinating. You know, I'll be honest with you. I thought esports were a bunch of kids living in their basement paying money to watch other dudes play video games. I didn't really understand the levity of it. Now that they're considering making an Olympic sport, and these guys are making 7 figures. Ninja might be making 8 figures if he's doing close to $1 million a month. That's crazy. Anyhow, good on these dudes and gals and dudettes or whatever you want to call them. I just wanted to share this podcast with you guys because I know there's probably a lot of other people out there like me, especially older, that did not understand how far along esports are. And the fact that it's going to be an Olympic sport is crazy to me. I mean, where do we draw the line with a sport? You know, is NASCAR a sport? Is bowling a sport? Is chess a sport? Anyhow, food for thought, something to think about. I'm signing off right now. Mellow Riot Podcast, Mike Mattarocci. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. A subscription or a follow or even a like would be huge for what we're doing. I appreciate it. Talk to you later.